The parking lot is nearly empty when she pulls in, the engine ticking as it cools in the evening air. Sarah sits in the driver's seat for a moment longer than necessary, both hands still gripping the wheel, even though the car is off. In the rearview mirror, she can see Emma in her booster seat, legs swinging, completely oblivious to the knot of anxiety tightening in her mother's chest. This is a mistake. She knows it's a mistake, but the babysitter cancelled 40 minutes ago, citing a sudden fever, and Sarah had already rescheduled this blind date twice before. Her sister had set it up, insisting she needed to get back out there, that Emma needed to see her mum taking care of herself too. Easy to say when you're not the one sitting in a cafe parking lot with a 4-year-old who asks questions like machine gun fire and has never learned to whisper. She unbuckles her seatbelt and turns around. Emma is holding her stuffed rabbit by one worn ear, humming something tuneless. Her hair is in 2 lopsided pigtails because Sarah had been rushing, and there's a juice stain on her sleeve that she'd missed until they were already on the highway. "Remember what we talked about, sweetheart." Sarah keeps her voice light, but she can hear the strain underneath. "Mommy has to meet someone for a little bit. You're going to sit with us and color, okay? You brought your markers." Emma nods, solemn and serious in that way only small children can be. "Is it a grown-up meeting?" "Sort of." "Are you nervous?" Sarah pauses, then smiles despite herself. "A little bit." "You look pretty," Emma says matter-of-factly, and Sarah's throat tightens. She does look pretty, or at least she tried. A dark green blouse that doesn't have spit-up stains, jeans that actually fit, a swipe of lipstick she applied at a red light. It's more effort than she's put into her appearance in months, and now it feels wasted. She imagines the look on his face when he sees her walk in with a child in tow. Disappointment, maybe polite discomfort. Maybe he'll pretend his phone is ringing and disappear into the bathroom, never to return. She wouldn't blame him. She'd probably do the same thing if the situation were reversed. But she's here now, and Emma's already unbuckling herself, rabbit clutched tight, eyes bright with the promise of a new place to explore. Sarah takes a breath, grabs the diaper bag that doubles as her purse, and pushes open the car door. The cafe is warm and smells like coffee and cinnamon. It's one of those deliberately cozy places with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls, the kind of spot that makes you want to linger. There are a few couples scattered at tables, a group of college students hunched over laptops in the corner, and soft jazz playing just loud enough to blur conversations into ambient noise. Sarah scans the room, heart hammering. Her sister had shown her a picture, but photos lie. Or maybe they just don't prepare you for the reality of meeting someone you're supposed to impress while your daughter is tugging on your hand and asking if they have hot chocolate. Then she sees him, sitting near the window, a man in a flannel shirt and dark jeans, sandy hair slightly mussed, looking at his phone with the posture of someone who's been waiting but isn't annoyed about it yet. He glances up as the door chimes and his eyes meet hers. He smiles, tentative and a little nervous himself, and starts to stand. Sarah's stomach drops. This is the moment. This is where it falls apart. She walks over, Emma's hands small and sticky in hers, and tries to smile like her life isn't a series of improvised disasters. "Daniel?" "Sarah." He extends his hand and she shakes it. His grip is warm, firm without being aggressive. Then his gaze drops to Emma and Sarah braces herself. "And who's this?" "This is Emma." Sarah's voice comes out rushed, apologetic. "My babysitter cancelled last minute, and I didn't have anyone else who could watch her, and I know this probably isn't what you were expecting, so if you want to reschedule or just—" "Hey, Emma." Daniel crouches down so he's at eye level with her daughter, and Sarah's words die in her throat. "That's a cool rabbit. Does it have a name?" Emma considers him with the grave seriousness of a judge weighing evidence. "Mr. Floppy." "Mr. Floppy?" Daniel repeats, nodding as if this is the most reasonable name in the world. That's a strong name. I like it. He looks up at Sarah, still crouched by her daughter, and his smile is genuine. It's really okay. Honestly. Sarah doesn't trust it. Can't trust it. Men say things are okay all the time and then spend the rest of the evening checking their watches. But he's already pulling out a chair for Emma, asking her if she likes hot chocolate, and Emma is nodding enthusiastically. They sit. Daniel signals the waitress, orders hot chocolate for Emma and coffee for himself and Sarah. Emma immediately starts digging through the diaper bag for her coloring book, pulling out markers with the focused determination of an archaeologist unearthing treasure. Sarah sits stiffly, hands wrapped around the menu she isn't reading. I really am sorry about this. I tried to find someone, but... Sarah. Daniel's voice is gentle, but firm. Seriously, I get it. You do? He hesitates, then leans back in his chair, something shifting in his expression. I have a 6-year-old son. Childcare falling through is basically my life every other week. Sarah blinks. You have a son? Yeah. Noah. He's with his grandmother tonight, but that's because I literally begged her 3 days ago and promised to clean her gutters next weekend. He runs a hand through his hair, a gesture that looks habitual. So trust me, I understand the chaos. Something in Sarah's chest loosens, just a fraction. Your profile didn't mention, I know. Daniel looks a bit sheepish. I wasn't sure how to bring it up without making it the whole thing, you know? But it's definitely the whole thing. The waitress arrives with their drinks. Emma's hot chocolate comes with whipped cream and a sprinkle of cinnamon, and her eyes go wide. She looks at Sarah for permission, and Sarah nods. Emma picks up the mug with both hands, careful and reverent, and takes a sip that leaves a whipped cream mustache on her upper lip. Daniel laughs, and it's such a natural sound that Sarah finds herself smiling despite her nerves. Looks good, huh? Emma nods vigorously, then goes back to her coloring, now fueled by sugar and contentment. Sarah wraps her hands around her own coffee, letting the warmth seep into her palms. So you're a single dad? 3 years now. Daniel's tone is matter-of-fact, but there's something underneath it. Noah's mom left when he was 3, just decided parenthood wasn't for her, I guess. Signed away custody and moved to Portland. Sarah winces. I'm sorry. Yeah, well. He shrugs, but it's not casual. It is what it is. We've figured it out, mostly. He's a good kid. Exhausting, but good. Emma's dad isn't in the picture either. The words come out before Sarah can second-guess them. He left before she was born. Found out I was pregnant and just disappeared. Changed his number, blocked me on everything. I heard through a mutual friend that he moved to another state. Daniel's jaw tightens, just for a second. That's rough. Yeah. Sarah takes a sip of coffee, bitter and hot. So it's just us. Has been from the start. They sit in a silence that isn't quite comfortable, but isn't hostile either. Emma hums softly as she colors, her tongue poking out in concentration. Outside the window, the evening light is fading, the sky turning that particular shade of blue that exists only in the moments before true darkness. Daniel clears his throat. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you still come tonight? I mean, you could have just cancelled. Sarah considers lying, making herself sound more confident or put together than she feels. But there's something about the way he's looking at her, open and without judgment, that makes honesty seem less dangerous. I've rescheduled twice already, and I guess I was tired of letting life dictate everything. I wanted to show up for once, even if it was a disaster. It's not a disaster, Daniel says quietly. Give it time. Sarah tries to smile, but it feels fragile. Emma's usually really good, but she's 4. Anything can happen. Noah threw up on a first date once. Daniel offers. Like projectile, all over the table. Sarah stares at him. You're making that up. I swear I'm not. He'd eaten an entire bag of gummy bears in the car because I was distracted. The woman was very polite about it, but I never heard from her again. Despite herself, Sarah laughs. It's a real laugh, the kind that catches her off guard and loosens something in her chest she didn't realize was clenched. Oh my God. So trust me, Daniel says, grinning now. Emma sitting here coloring is a best-case scenario. The conversation shifts after that. They talk about the logistics of single parenthood, the impossible calculus of balancing work and care and attempting to have any semblance of a personal life. Daniel works as a carpenter, mostly residential projects, which gives him flexibility but unpredictable income. Sarah's a medical transcriptionist working from home, which sounds ideal until you factor in a 4-year-old who doesn't understand that mommy typing means mommy's busy. They trade war stories. The times Sarah had to take a work call while Emma had a meltdown in the background because her socks felt weird. The time Daniel showed up to a parent-teacher conference with sawdust in his hair and was so exhausted he fell asleep during the presentation about phonics. Emma finishes her hot chocolate and shows Daniel her drawing. It's a chaotic swirl of color that might be a rainbow or might be a dragon, depending on how you squint. Daniel takes it seriously, asking questions about the purple blob in the corner and nodding thoughtfully at her explanations. Sarah watches this, watches how easily he interacts with her daughter, and feels something dangerous start to bloom in her chest. Hope, maybe. Or just the exhausting wish that this could be something real. The cafe gets busier as the night wears on. A couple at the next table is having an argument in low, tense voices. Someone drops a mug, and it shatters loudly, making Emma jump. Daniel asks if they want to order food, and Sarah realizes she hasn't eaten since lunch. They get sandwiches and split a basket of fries, and Emma steals half of Sarah's sandwich with the unearned confidence of a small child who knows she's cute. Tell me something about you that has nothing to do with being a parent, Daniel says suddenly. Sarah pauses mid-chew. What? Something just about you. A hobby, a dream, something you loved before everything became about keeping a tiny human alive. It's such an unexpected question that Sarah doesn't know how to answer. She sits there, searching her memory like flipping through an old photo album, trying to find the person she was before Emma, before midnight, feedings and daycare drop-offs and the constant grinding weight of being solely responsible for another life. I used to paint, she says finally. Watercolors mostly. Nothing fancy, just I liked it. I'd go to parks and paint trees and ponds and whatever caught my eye. Do you still do it? No. The word comes out heavier than she intends. No time, no energy. I keep telling myself I'll get back to it, but then the days just happen. Daniel nods slowly. I used to play guitar. Had a band in college, the whole stupid dream. Now my guitar sits in the closet collecting dust because by the time Noah's asleep, I'm too tired to do anything but watch bad TV. It's weird, isn't it, Sarah says, how much of yourself you lose. Or how much you have to set aside, Daniel counters. Maybe it's not lost, just waiting. Sarah doesn't know how to respond to that. It feels too optimistic, too much like something you'd read on a greeting card. But there's something in his voice that makes her want to believe it. Emma tugs on Sarah's sleeve. Mama, I need to go potty. Of course, Sarah starts to stand, but Emma is already sliding off her chair, her small face set with determination. I can go by myself. I'm a big girl. The bathroom's right there. Daniel points to a door near the counter. You can see it from here. Sarah hesitates. She's never let Emma go to a public restroom alone, but the bathroom is literally 15 feet away, visible the entire time. And Emma is looking at her with such hopeful pride that saying no feels cruel. Okay, Sarah says slowly. But leave the door unlocked, and I'm coming to check on you in 1 minute. Emma nods seriously and marches off, Mr. Floppy dragging behind her. Sarah watches her daughter disappear into the bathroom, then turns back to find Daniel smiling. What? You're a good mom. You don't know that. I'm making this up as I go. That's all any of us are doing. Daniel's voice is soft. But you're here. You showed up tonight even though it was hard, and you're letting her try new things even though it scares you. That counts for something. Sarah's throat tightens. She's not used to being seen this clearly, to having someone notice the effort it takes just to function. Thank you. A minute passes. Then 2. Sarah glances at the bathroom door, sees it's still closed. She starts to stand, but then Emma emerges, hands wet, because she actually washed them, a proud smile on her face. Good job, baby, Sarah says, and Emma beams. They settle back into their seats. Emma returns to her coloring, now drawing something that looks like a house with too many windows. The conversation flows easier now, like a river finding its natural course. They talk about Emma's obsession with dinosaurs, Noah's inexplicable fear of bananas, the small peculiarities of their children that make them uniquely themselves. But underneath the lightness, Sarah can feel the weight of the things they're not saying. The loneliness, the exhaustion, the fear that this is all there is, that they'll be doing this alone forever. Daniel must sense it too because he leans forward, his expression turning more serious. Can I be honest about something? Sarah's stomach clenches. Here it comes, the polite letdown, the you're nice, but... Sure, I almost cancelled tonight. He says it quickly, like ripping off a bandage. Not because of you, just because dating feels impossible. I kept thinking about all the ways it could go wrong, finding a sitter, making conversation, pretending I have my life together when most days I'm just barely keeping my head above water. Sarah nods slowly. So why didn't you? Because Noah asked me why I never go out anymore. He's 6, and he asked me that. And I realized I was teaching him that it's okay to just give up, to stop trying. Daniel runs a hand over his face. I don't want that for him. I want him to see me taking chances, even when they're scary. Something shifts in Sarah's chest. I almost canceled too, for the same reasons. Yeah? Yeah. She takes a breath. And then Emma asked me why I looked sad all the time. And I lied and said I wasn't sad, but she just looked at me like she knew better. They share a moment of understanding, the kind that doesn't need words. 2 people who've been in survival mode so long they've forgotten what it feels like to actually live. Then Emma drops a marker, and it rolls under the table. She slides off her chair to retrieve it, disappearing from view for a moment. When she resurfaces, she's holding the marker triumphantly and something else, Daniel's phone, which must have fallen earlier. You dropped this, Emma says, handing it to him with the solemnity of a courier delivering important documents. Thank you, Emma. Daniel takes the phone, but as he does, the screen lights up with a notification. Sarah doesn't mean to look, but she catches a glimpse of the text, a message from someone named Linda saying, "Hope the date goes well. You deserve this." Daniel notices Sarah noticing. He sets the phone face down, a slight flush creeping up his neck. My sister. She's been on my case about getting out there. Mine too, Sarah admits. She set this whole thing up. Did she threaten you? Multiple times. Daniel laughs. Mine said if I cancelled again, she'd show up at my house and physically drag me out. Sisters, Sarah says, shaking her head, and they both smile. But the moment of levity fades as Sarah catches sight of the time on the cafe's wall clock. It's getting late, past Emma's bedtime. Her daughter is starting to show signs of wear, rubbing her eyes, leaning heavily against Sarah's side, her coloring becoming less focused. I should probably get her home, Sarah says, trying to keep the disappointment out of her voice. It's past her bedtime. Right, of course. Daniel's face falls slightly, but he nods. This was really nice, though. It was, and Sarah means it. Despite her fears, despite showing up with her daughter in tow, this has been the most normal she's felt in months. Thank you for being so understanding about Emma. Are you kidding? She's great. Daniel smiles at Emma, who's now fully slumped against her mother, eyes half closed. Besides, I told you, I get it. Sarah starts gathering Emma's markers, shoving them haphazardly into the diaper bag. Emma protests weakly, but doesn't have the energy to really fight. Sarah hoists her daughter onto her hip, feeling the familiar weight, the automatic adjustment of her posture to accommodate the child-shaped burden she's carried for 4 years. Daniel stands too, pulling on his jacket. Can I walk you to your car? You don't have to. I want to. They make their way out of the cafe, Emma's head heavy on Sarah's shoulder. The night air is cold, sharp after the warmth inside. Sarah's car is parked under a streetlight, looking old and tired in the harsh fluorescent glow. She unlocks it with her free hand, a complicated maneuver she's perfected through necessity. Daniel holds the door open while Sarah wrestles Emma into her car seat. Her daughter is that particular kind of sleepy, where every limb becomes simultaneously heavy and uncooperative. It takes longer than it should, and Sarah is painfully aware of Daniel standing there, watching her struggle. Finally, Emma is buckled in, Mr. Floppy tucked beside her. Sarah closes the back door gently and turns to face Daniel. Well, this was unexpected. Good unexpected? He asks, and there's something vulnerable in his voice. Yeah, Sarah says softly. Good unexpected. They stand there in the parking lot, neither quite ready to leave. Sarah searches for something to say, some way to extend this moment, but her mind is blank, except for the constant calculation. How early she needs to wake up tomorrow, whether there's milk for breakfast, if Emma's daycare permission slip is signed. Daniel breaks the silence first. I'd like to see you again, if you want. Sarah's heart jumps, but immediately her mind floods with obstacles. The logistics of arranging another date, finding childcare, the inevitable disappointment when he realizes just how complicated her life actually is. I don't know. My schedule is really unpredictable and... Bring Emma, Daniel says simply. Sarah stares at him. What? Next time, bring Emma, and I'll bring Noah. He shrugs, hands in his pockets. I mean, if we're going to see if this could be something, they're part of it. Might as well let them meet. It's such a radical departure from every dating experience Sarah's had, from every piece of advice about keeping your personal life separate from your kid, that she doesn't know how to respond. Are you sure? There's a park near my place, good playground. We could meet there Saturday afternoon. The kids can play, we can talk. No pressure, no fancy restaurant where we have to worry about them behaving. Just real life. Real life. The phrase hits Sarah harder than it should. She's so used to trying to present a polished version of herself, to minimize the chaos and pretend she has everything under control. The idea of just showing up as she is, with all the mess and complications, feels both terrifying and oddly liberating. Okay, she hears herself say. Saturday. Daniel's whole face lights up. Yeah? Yeah. They exchange numbers and Daniel sends her the park's address. The logistics are simple, easier than Sarah expected. Maybe because there's no pretense, no game of who texts first or waiting the appropriate amount of time. Just two tired parents trying to carve out a moment of something that isn't survival mode. Sarah opens her car door, then hesitates. Daniel, yeah? Thank you. For tonight, for not making me feel like showing up with Emma was the worst thing I could have done. It wasn't the worst thing. He's serious now. His voice steady. It was actually the best thing, because it meant you trusted me enough to be honest. That matters. Sarah feels tears prick at her eyes. Unexpected and unwelcome. She blinks them back, nods, and gets in the car before she does something embarrassing, like actually cry. But as she starts the engine and pulls out of the parking lot, she catches sight of Daniel in her rearview mirror, standing under the streetlight, watching her leave. And she realizes she's smiling. The drive home is quiet. Emma is fully asleep in the back seat, her breathing deep and even. Sarah navigates familiar streets, the route she's driven countless times, but everything feels slightly different. Lighter, maybe, or just less lonely. She pulls into her apartment complex, parks in her assigned spot. The building is one of those generic structures built in the 80s, all beige siding and small balconies. She's lived here for 3 years, since Emma was one, and it's never felt like home, so much as a temporary way station. But tonight, as she unbuckles her sleeping daughter and carries her up the stairs, it doesn't seem quite so depressing. Inside, Sarah navigates the familiar obstacle course of toys and laundry, carrying Emma straight to her bedroom. She changes her daughter into pajamas, a process Emma sleeps through entirely, which is both impressive and concerning. But Sarah's too tired to overthink it. She tucks Emma in, kisses her forehead, and stands there for a moment watching her sleep. This is her life. This small person, completely dependent on her. This apartment, with its peeling linoleum and water-stained ceiling. This constant grinding exhaustion. And yet tonight, for the first time in months, it doesn't feel like enough to crush her. Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number that must be Daniel. Made it home safe? Sarah smiles and types back, "Yes, Emma's already asleep. Thank you again for tonight." His response comes quickly. "Thank you. I haven't had an actual conversation with another adult in weeks. Looking forward to Saturday." "Me too," Sarah sends, and she means it. She gets ready for bed, the mindless routine of washing her face and brushing her teeth. In the mirror, she looks the same as always. Tired eyes, worried expression, a face that hasn't fully recovered from 4 years of interrupted sleep. But maybe there's something else there too. Something that might be hope. Sarah climbs into bed, and for once, sleep comes quickly. The week passes in its usual blur. Work deadlines, Emma's preschool drama about someone taking her favorite crayon, a washing machine that starts making an ominous clanking sound Sarah can't afford to fix. But underneath the chaos, there's a new current of anticipation. Saturday becomes a beacon. Something to look forward to instead of just another day to get through. Daniel texts occasionally. Nothing heavy, just small exchanges. A photo of Noah covered in spaghetti sauce with the caption, "Dinner time is glamorous." A meme about single parenting that makes Sarah laugh so hard, Emma asks what's funny. It feels natural, easy in a way Sarah hasn't experienced in her limited forays into dating. Friday night, Sarah stands in front of her closet, trying to figure out what to wear to a playground date. Everything feels wrong, too dressed up or too sloppy. Nothing that says, "I'm trying but not too hard." Also, I might need to climb on playground equipment. Emma appears in the doorway, dragging Mr. Floppy. "Are we going to see the new friend tomorrow?" Sarah turns. "Yeah, baby, we're going to the park." "Does the friend have kids?" "He has a little boy. His name is Noah. He's 6. Emma considers this gravely. "That's older than me." "Yep." "Will he like me?" The question hits Sarah harder than it should. She crouches down, pulling Emma into a hug. "He's going to love you. You're pretty lovable, you know that?" Emma nods against her shoulder, then pulls back. "Are you going to marry him?" Sarah nearly chokes. "What? No, I mean we just met. I don't even know if I like him yet. Do you want to marry someone?" It's an impossible question, one Sarah doesn't have an honest answer to. She's learned to be self-sufficient, to need no one. But does she want someone? The truth is more complicated than a yes or no. "Someday, maybe," Sarah says carefully, "if I find the right person." Okay, Emma says, apparently satisfied, and wanders off to find her coloring book. Sarah returns to her closet, eventually settling on jeans and a sweater. Practical, comfortable, and hopefully not completely unflattering. She lays them out for tomorrow, then checks the weather forecast 3 times, anxiety nibbling at her edges. Saturday dawns cold and clear. Sarah wakes early, as always, to Emma climbing into bed with her. They lie there for a few minutes, Emma's small body warm against hers, before the day officially starts. Breakfast is chaotic. Emma wants pancakes, but they're out of syrup. Sarah makes scrambled eggs instead, and Emma protests but eats them anyway. There's the usual battle over getting dressed, Emma insisting she wants to wear her princess costume to the park. "You'll freeze," Sarah says. "I can wear it over my clothes." "It'll get dirty." "I don't care." They compromise, regular clothes, but Emma can bring her plastic tiara. Small victories. The park is 20 minutes away, in a neighborhood nicer than Sarah's. She pulls into the parking lot at exactly 2 o'clock, as planned. The park is beautiful, all sprawling grass and old trees, with a modern playground structure in primary colors. There are other families scattered around, kids shouting and laughing, the weekend hum of ordinary life. Sarah scans the area and spots him. Daniel, standing near a bench, hands in his jacket pockets. Next to him is a small boy with dark hair and a red jacket, holding a soccer ball. Sarah's stomach flips. She unbuckles Emma, who's bouncing with excitement now that she sees the playground. "Remember, be polite. Share the toys. No hitting." "I know, Mama." They walk across the grass. Daniel sees them and waves, and Sarah waves back, suddenly feeling like a teenager at a school dance. Emma grabs her hand tighter, suddenly shy now that the moment is real. "Hey," Daniel says as they approach. His smile is warm, genuine. "Glad you made it. Sorry if we're a few minutes late. Someone had a tiara emergency." Daniel looks at Emma's crown, which is slightly crooked. "That's a very important accessory. Can't rush that." Emma giggles, hiding partly behind Sarah's legs. Daniel crouches down, matching the posture he'd used at the cafe. "Emma, this is my son Noah. Noah, this is Emma. She's 4. Noah studies Emma with the careful assessment of a child meeting a potential playmate. "I'm 6 3/4. "That's very old," Emma says seriously. Noah considers this, then nods. "Do you want to play on the swings?" And just like that, the ice is broken. Emma looks up at Sarah for permission, and Sarah nods. The 2 kids run off toward the swings, not quite together, but not separate either, testing the waters of new friendship. Sarah and Daniel are left standing there, suddenly alone, despite being surrounded by people. "So," Sarah says. "So," Daniel echoes. He gestures to a bench nearby. "Want to sit? We can still see them from there." They settle on the bench, both keeping their eyes on their children. Noah is pushing Emma on the swing, gently, and Emma is squealing with delight. It's such a simple scene, but there's something profound about watching their kids interact, about seeing these 2 separate lives beginning to intersect. "He's good with her," Sarah observes. "He's a good kid, too good sometimes. He tries to take care of everyone." Daniel's voice carries something heavy. "I worry I put too much on him." What do you mean?" Daniel is quiet for a moment, watching his son. "After his mom left, Noah tried to fix everything. He'd bring me tissues when I was upset, tell me it was okay that we didn't need her. He was 3 years old, and he was trying to comfort me." He swallows hard. That's not how it's supposed to work. Sarah feels the weight of his confession, recognizes the guilt because she carries it too. Emma does the same thing, asks if I'm okay when I'm stressed. Pats my hand. Sometimes I catch her watching me like she's trying to figure out if I'm about to break. "It's fucked up, isn't it?" Daniel says, then immediately looks apologetic. "Sorry, that's—" "No, you're right. It is." Sarah watches Emma fly higher on the swing, arms outstretched. We're supposed to take care of them, and somehow they end up taking care of us too. They sit with that truth, uncomfortable and undeniable. Around them the park continues its weekend rhythm. A dog barks. Someone's playing music from a Bluetooth speaker. The air smells like fallen leaves and cold earth. I worry I'm not enough, Sarah says suddenly, for Emma. That she needs more than just me, that I'm failing her by not being able to give her a normal family. You're not failing her. Daniel's voice is firm. Look at her, she's happy. Right now, but what about when she's older, when she asks why her dad didn't want her? You'll tell her the truth, that some people aren't capable of being parents, and that's their failure, not hers. He pauses. That's what I plan to tell Noah anyway, when he's old enough to really understand. Sarah turns to look at him. Does he ask about his mom? Sometimes. Less now than he used to. At first, he'd ask when she was coming back, if he did something wrong. That was the hardest part, convincing him it wasn't his fault. Daniel's jaw tightens. She sends birthday cards. Once a year, like clockwork. Never a phone call, never a visit, just a card with $20 in it and "Love Mom" written at the bottom. That's almost worse than nothing. I know. But I let him keep them. Put them in a box in his closet. I figure someday he'll decide what they mean to him. They watch their kids, who've moved from the swings to the slide. Noah goes first, showing Emma how to climb the ladder. Emma follows with determined concentration, and Noah waits at the bottom to make sure she lands safely. They're sweet together, Sarah says. Yeah. Daniel smiles. He needs more friends. We moved 6 months ago for a job, and he hasn't really clicked with anyone at his new school yet. Emma's the same. She's shy with other kids. Only child syndrome, I guess. Noah, too. Though I wonder sometimes if it's more than that. If maybe he learned early on that people leave, so why bother getting attached? The insight is so raw, so honest, that Sarah doesn't know how to respond. She wants to say something comforting, something wise, but all her words feel inadequate. So instead, she reaches over and briefly touches Daniel's hand where it rests on the bench between them. He looks at her, surprised, and then his fingers curl around hers, just for a moment, just long enough to acknowledge what's being shared here. Not just attraction, but recognition. Two people who've been fighting the same battle in separate trenches. A shriek pulls their attention back to the playground, but it's just Emma laughing as Noah chases her around the jungle gym. They're playing some game only children understand, all dramatic gestures and nonsensical rules. I don't remember the last time I saw her play like that with another kid, Sarah admits. Usually, she just kind of hovers on the edges. Noah's the same at school. His teacher says he spends recess reading in the library. They fall into easier conversation then, trading stories about their kids' peculiarities and struggles. Noah's fear of the dark that requires a nightlight and 3 stuffed animals. Emma's refusal to eat anything green unless it's covered in ranch dressing. The way Noah still sometimes wets the bed when he's stressed. The way Emma has nightmares about Sarah disappearing. It should be depressing, this catalogue of childhood anxieties and single-parent inadequacies. But somehow it isn't. Somehow it feels like relief, like finally being able to admit that none of this is as easy as it's supposed to look. An hour passes, then another. The kids play and Sarah and Daniel talk, and it feels so normal that Sarah almost forgets this is a date. Almost forgets to be nervous or self-conscious. They're just 2 people in a park, watching their children, trying to figure out if this could be something real. Eventually, Noah runs over, breathing hard. Dad, I'm hungry. Daniel checks his watch. Yeah, it's definitely snack time. You guys hungry? Emma appears at Sarah's side, cheeks flushed from playing. Can we have cookies? I don't have cookies, Sarah admits. I have... let me check. She digs through the diaper bag. Crackers and an apple. I brought juice boxes and granola bars, Daniel offers. Want to share? They spread out the snacks on the bench, a meager feast that the kids devour like they haven't eaten in days. Noah and Emma sit close together, comparing granola bars and arguing about which flavor is better. It's such a normal scene, so perfectly ordinary, that Sarah feels her throat tighten. This is what she's been missing, not romance exactly, but this, partnership. Someone to share the load, another adult who understands without needing explanations. Daniel must sense her shift in mood because he leans closer. You okay? Yeah, Sarah says, but her voice comes out thick. Just, this is nice, that's all. It is nice. They finish the snacks. The kids want to play more, and Sarah checks the time on her phone. They've been here almost 3 hours, and she has laundry to do, groceries to buy, the Sunday preparations that never end, but she doesn't want to leave. We should probably go, she says reluctantly. Yeah, Daniel agrees, but he doesn't move. The kids protest, of course. Emma wants 5 more minutes on the swings. Noah wants to show them the cool rock he found. They compromise on 1 more trip down the slide together, and then they really do have to go. As they walk back toward the parking lot, Emma suddenly grabs Noah's hand. Will I see you again? Noah looks at his dad, and Daniel looks at Sarah, and Sarah sees the question there, the hope mixed with uncertainty. I'd like that, Sarah says. Me too. Daniel smiles, then addresses the kids. How about next Saturday? We could go to the Science Museum. They have a new dinosaur exhibit. Emma's eyes go wide. Dinosaurs. Lots of them, Daniel confirms. Big ones. Can we, Mama? Please? Sarah looks at Daniel, trying to read his face. Is this just courtesy? A polite way to extend a playdate he doesn't really want? But his expression is open, genuine, and when their eyes meet, she sees something that makes her breath catch. He actually wants this, wants them. Okay, Sarah says. The museum sounds great. They exchange another round of logistics, confirming times and meeting places with the practiced efficiency of people used to planning around small children. Emma and Noah do an impromptu happy dance, and the adults can't help but laugh. At Sarah's car, they linger again. The sun is lower now, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Emma is getting sleepy, leaning against Sarah's leg, and Noah is telling Daniel about every single thing he did at the playground, barely pausing for breath. Thank you for today, Sarah says. This was really great. For me, too. Daniel hesitates, then adds, Can I tell you something? Sure. I was really nervous, like almost turned around 3 times on the way here nervous. You were? Sarah is genuinely surprised. He'd seemed so calm, so put together. Terrified, Daniel admits. What if Noah and Emma didn't get along? What if you decided I was too much of a mess? What if this was a huge mistake? I thought the same things, Sarah confesses. And I'm really glad we both showed up anyway. Daniel's smile is soft, warm, and something passes between them that doesn't need words. A understanding, maybe, or a promise. They're both scared, both damaged, both doing their best with impossible situations. But maybe that's enough. Maybe that's actually the perfect starting point. Sarah buckles Emma into her car seat, and Daniel does the same with Noah in his truck a few spaces over. Through the windows they can see the kids waving at each other, already fast friends in the way only children can be. Sarah starts her car, and as she's pulling out of the parking spot, her phone buzzes. A text from Daniel. Same time next Saturday, museum at 10. She types back with one hand, technically illegal, but she's barely moving. Perfect. We'll be there. The drive home feels different than it did a week ago. Not fundamentally changed, but lighter somehow. Like a burden shared is a burden halved, or however that saying goes. Emma falls asleep before they're even on the highway. Sarah glances at her in the rearview mirror, at her daughter's peaceful face and crooked tiara, and feels something shift in her chest. Maybe this is what hope feels like. The week that follows is busy, but doesn't feel quite as overwhelming. Work is still work. Emma is still a handful. The apartment is still too small and too expensive. But there are texts from Daniel scattered throughout the days, photos of Noah at soccer practice, a link to an article about single parenting that makes Sarah both laugh and cry. Simple exchanges that somehow make everything else more bearable. Friday night, Sarah is folding laundry when her phone rings. Not a text this time, but an actual call. Daniel's name on the screen. She answers. Hi. Hi. His voice sounds strained. Is this a bad time? No, I'm just doing laundry. What's up? There's a pause, and Sarah can hear background noise, maybe a TV. Noah had a hard day at school. One of the kids made fun of him for not having a mum, and he came home crying. I didn't know who else to call. Sarah's heart clenches. Oh, Daniel, I'm so sorry. Yeah. He sounds exhausted. I talked to him, told him that family looks different for everyone, all the usual stuff, but he's in his room now, and I can hear him crying, and I just feel so helpless. Sarah sits down on the couch, laundry forgotten. Do you want me to talk to him? What? Put me on speaker. Let me talk to him. Maybe hearing from someone who understands will help. Sarah, you don't have to. I want to. She hears rustling, footsteps, a door opening. Then Daniel's voice, gentler. Hey, buddy, I have someone who wants to talk to you. Remember Sarah? Emma's mom? A small, watery voice. Hi. Hey, Noah, Sarah says, keeping her voice warm and steady. Your dad told me you had a rough day. Silence. I want to tell you something, okay? Emma doesn't have a dad. He left before she was even born. And sometimes kids ask her about it, and it makes her sad. Do you know what I tell her? What? Noah's voice is small. I tell her that the people who are supposed to love us don't always know how. And that's not our fault. It's theirs. Your mum not being there doesn't mean you're not lovable. It means she missed out on getting to know an amazing kid. More silence then. But what if I did something wrong? Sarah's eyes fill with tears. Oh, sweetheart, you didn't. You couldn't have. You were a baby. Babies don't do anything wrong. Sometimes grown-ups just can't be parents even when they really want to be. My dad's a good parent, Noah says fiercely. He is. He's a really good dad. Emma told me she thinks he's nice. She did? Yep. And you know what else? She said you're a good slide-goer. That's a direct quote. A tiny laugh, barely there but real. That's not even a real thing. Are you sure? Because she seemed pretty impressed. Daniel's voice comes back on, no longer on speaker. Thank you, he says quietly. That helped. Any time, Sarah means it. Really? We're in this together now, right? Right. They talk for a few more minutes, nothing important, just the comfort of another voice in the evening quiet. When they hang up, Sarah sits there holding her phone, thinking about Noah crying in his room, about Emma's future hard days, about how much pain children carry without anyone realizing. And she thinks about Daniel calling her in a moment of need, trusting her with his son's hurt. That means something, maybe everything. Saturday arrives with unexpected rain. Sarah wakes to the sound of it pelting against the window and immediately checks her phone. A text from Daniel sent 20 minutes ago. Rain check on the museum, pun intended. Could do it next week if that works. Sarah starts to type a response, then pauses. She looks at Emma, still asleep in her small bed, at the grey light filtering through cheap blinds, at the stack of bills on the counter she's been avoiding. She thinks about next week, which already has 3 doctor's appointments and a work deadline, and the grinding sameness of survival mode. She types, "Or we could do something inside today instead." His response comes quickly. "Like what?" Sarah thinks fast. "My place. I know it's not fancy, but we could make pizza with the kids. They could help." There's a longer pause and Sarah's stomach sinks. She's overstepped, invited him into her actual life, the messy reality of her small apartment. And now he's trying to find a polite way to decline. But then, that sounds perfect. What time? Relief floods through her. Noon? I'll text you the address. She spends the morning in a frantic cleaning spiral, shoving toys into closets and wiping down surfaces that haven't been properly cleaned in weeks. Emma watches with bemused interest as Sarah scrubs the bathroom sink like their lives depend on it. "Is Noah coming?" Emma asks. "Yes, and his dad." "Are you nervous?" Sarah pauses mid-scrub. "Why would you think that? You're cleaning stuff you never clean." Out of the mouths of babes, Sarah puts down the sponge and sits on the edge of the tub. "Maybe a little nervous." "Why?" "Because I want them to like our home." Emma considers this. "Our home is good." "It is good," Sarah agrees, looking at her daughter's earnest face. "You're right." At noon exactly, there's a knock on the door. Sarah opens it to find Daniel and Noah, both slightly damp from the rain, Daniel holding a grocery bag. "I brought toppings," Daniel says, lifting the bag. "Wasn't sure what you had." "Come in," Sarah says, stepping aside. They enter, and Sarah sees her apartment through their eyes. Small, cluttered despite her cleaning efforts, worn furniture and peeling paint. But Daniel just smiles, looks around with genuine interest. "This is cozy. I like it." Noah spots Emma hovering by the couch. "Hi, Emma." "Hi." Emma's shyness returns, but only for a moment. "Want to see my room?" "Sure." The kids disappear down the short hallway, and Sarah is alone with Daniel in her tiny kitchen. He sets the grocery bag on the counter, and they start unpacking. Pepperoni, mushrooms, olives, 3 kinds of cheese. "You went all out," Sarah observes. "Figured if we're doing this, might as well do it right." He pulls out a jar of pizza sauce. "Plus, I didn't know what Emma likes. Honestly, she'll probably just eat cheese, but I appreciate the effort." They work together to prep the ingredients, falling into an easy rhythm. Daniel chops vegetables, while Sarah rolls out the dough she'd made earlier. From Emma's room they can hear the kids playing, Emma showing Noah her extensive collection of stuffed animals. "Your place is nice," Daniel says. "Feels like a home." "It's small." "Small isn't bad. Mine's too big, honestly. 3 bedrooms for 2 people. The extra rooms just collect dust and make me feel lonely." Sarah looks at him, sees the honesty in his face. "You could get a roommate." "I had one, actually. Another single dad from Noah's old school. It was great for about 3 months. Then his ex decided she wanted custody back. He moved out, and it's just been us again since." "That must have been hard. For both of you." "Yeah. Noah was really upset. It was like losing another parent." Daniel sets down his knife. "This is the part they don't tell you about single parenting. It's not just hard logistically. It's lonely. You make decisions by yourself, celebrate victories by yourself, handle crises by yourself, and your kid sees it, feels it, carries that weight too." Sarah nods, understanding completely. "Emma asked me last week why we don't have family dinners like her friend at preschool. I had to explain that we do have family dinners. They just look different. It's just us at the table instead of a full house." "What did she say?" "She said she wished there were more people, more noise." Sarah's throat tightens. "And I wanted to tell her I wish that too, but I didn't know how without making her feel like she's not enough." Daniel moves closer, his presence solid and warm in her.